Howdy folks, Rob, MaximumRD, and I'm just about to engage in my normal backup routine, and well, I thought I'd allow you guys to sit through it with me if you have nothing better to do. This is just something that I like to do once every week if possible. Typically, I try to do it once a week, at the very least once every couple weeks. This is the backup procedure that I do. So let's begin. Now I've already run my cleanup utilities, my virus scans, adware, malware, everything clean as usual, gotten rid of redundant files, etc. So at this point my SSD boot drive sits at 20.4 gigabyte free out of 55.8 gigabyte. That's on a Windows 7 64-bit installation. That includes Office, all my editing utilities, all my most used apps, and basically the programs that I can't go without. And that is an install of my operating system. As you can see, over 20 gig free out of 55 gig. That's pretty damn good with everything installed that I need on my boot drive. So having run all my checks and being happy with the current configuration, I will start my typical backup routine, and that begins with my copy of ACRONIS True Image 2013, which I insert into my DVD drive right here. And this is why I always say, at the very least, as you saw there, even a 60 gig boot drive with my entire operating system and most used programs installed, still over 20 gig left. So well worth it for what you can get a 60 gig boot drive for nowadays. You know, that was probably about a year ago I bought that. Now you could probably get like 120 gig for the same price nowadays. So the difference boost in performance is well worth it. For mass storage purposes, no, you don't want to use a SSD at this point in time, but as a Windows operating, or well, whatever operating system you run with, it is well worth it in my opinion to get an SSD. So I'm gonna just restart here, and as I restart, I'll be pressing the F8 key to choose my boot device. There's post, and there we go. And from here, with the ACRONIS CD in the drive there, I just go down and select the CD-ROM drive, DVD-ROM drive. Hit enter. This will begin the procedure of loading the ACRONIS backup disk. It's just one of those things I just decided to do and show you what my procedure is. It's come to the point now, basically, you know, when I run my checks for antivirus, malware, adware, and all that stuff like that, it never finds anything. I mean, my system is secured and locked down really well. I have no problems with that, but it's just a routine that I like to stay consistent with, and mostly because I don't you know, I save the disk space. I don't run Windows Restore because it really doesn't work that well anyways. I mean, it will save your, it can save some frustration in a pinch if you're really lucky, but in most cases when something serious strikes your operating system, Windows Restore isn't going to do too much for you. But because I image my entire operating system from scratch, I find that you know, I feel a lot more confident. I'll go to any site I like. I'll download whatever I damn well please. Not that I never seem to encounter viruses or any issues with adware or malware. As I said, my scans always come up clean, but because I keep an image at all times of a fairly recent operating system, I just, you know, I don't have that fear worrying I'm going to break something and it's not going to be recoverable. I install what I want. I play around a lot. Basically, with my operating system, I'm installing all kinds of software all the time. I, you know, take a lot of risk and chances. You know, some people will run in a virtual environment. That way, if something happens, they don't have to worry. They can just reboot or whatever. But I don't even bother with that. I just do whatever I want in my actual operating system environment. And if something happens, something gets corrupted, or you know, for some reason I can't get into Windows or it doesn't boot, I just load this disk here. I choose recover, select my boot disk, and within about 8 to 12 minutes restart, and I'm back where I left off without any issues at all. So, and because it's an image of the operating system before the problem actually occurred, it is actually totally clean and no issues there. But anyways, this is the backup procedure. And I'm going to take you through it in real time, so you know, you can either watch or skip ahead if you get bored, whatever you like. Mainly doing this for archiving for my own purposes and just comparison. But anyway, so now I'm in the main menu here for ACRONIS. I select backup. I choose my disk. It already has the C drive, in my case the operating system OS partition already selected. So from there I simply say next. Now I want to create a new backup archive. Some people will do, you know, add to an existing backup archive. I just don't like doing that because I've restored images like that before, and I found sometimes like there's 2 files for some reason, and that's known as your incremental backup, and I just don't feel it's necessary. I mean, it basically takes just as long to add to an existing backup and to do a incremental backup as it does to create a brand new fresh backup archive. So I really don't see the benefit because I'm doing creating a brand new backup archive. There's no reason to you know, choose to add to an existing backup. I just don't see the point of it. So anyways, yeah, create new backup. That's my selection always, because once the new backup is created and I've played around, you know, just double check, confirm that it's okay, and played around for a day or two back in my operating system, I just delete the previous backup altogether, knowing that I have this newer, more recent backup to go to. So in this case, I'm going to select, is it X? Yeah, that's the folder here, OS image. You go in there. I have 2 folders, LT and DT, simplified, laptop or desktop. This is my desktop, so I'm going to go in there. Now my last one is dated April 11th. 2013, so I can just click on that to select the name. But of course, now I'm going to alter the name just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to change the date on that. And damn it, I've forgotten the date. Isn't that just great? What is the current date? Hopefully, I'll just look on my digital watch here, and it is the 19th. So I changed that to the 19th. See, my last one was done just on the 11th, but for these purposes of making the video and I'm gonna do one right now, just on the 19th. Come on, Rob, wake up. So April 19th, 2013. And there we go. Delete the extension. It'll create a new extension anyways. That's the same. So there we are. It's I've named the archive with today's date. I say OK, and confirming the backup location and the name of the archive. Great. And now I just say next, and now it confirms what it's going to do. It's going to create a partition image of hard disk 1, drive letter C, which is the NTFS file system. Okay. Size total of the partition is 55.9 gigabyte. The resulting image of the operating system, of course, will be a compressed version of what is it, about the 30 gig that's actually used to hold all the information, and that ends up coming around 16 gig, if I recall, somewhere around that amount. So not bad overall. So I'm going to say proceed. Okay, now simply enough, it's doing operation 1 of 2, which is creating the partition image. And I'm going to check this box right here, which I always do. Just click that. This will restart the computer when the backup is completed. So I could actually walk away at this point. I could just, you know, go do whatever, go have another coffee, or hey, go outside if I wanted to. So I'm just kidding. Who goes outside? But anyways, yeah. So I've done that. So now at this point, because the backup has already started, the progress bar has shown some work has already been done, I can remove the bootable disk, because if not, when the computer reboots, of course, it would go right back. Actually, no, it wouldn't. It would go right into Windows, because I don't normally have this as the bootable drive. I selected it during post. But anyways, I just take the disk out because it's no longer needed at this point. There we go. And going back, you can see the progression. Because it is an SSD, the progression bar moves at a fairly good clip. I know with my old regular spindle drive, that would be less than half where it is now by this point. And it took significantly longer, obviously. But yeah, actually, you know what? I'm not going to take you through the pain of watching the rest of that. I'm going to pause right here, and then when I come back, it'll be just as this is wrapping up. Bear with me one moment. Okay, we just finished there. The progress bar reached the end, creating the partition image. And now this popped up, waiting for restart, and boom. There it is, restarting, and this will now go straight into the operating system. Okay, checking VRAM and booting Windows. There we go. And now entering the desktop. There we go. That's my little logo, little wallpaper that I like. And there we go. Windows is loaded up. The network is set, ready to go. And I only run a few utilities basically on startup, which is my take a peek here. Whoa, it's my Avast free antivirus. There's the network icon for volume and Malwarebytes. That's basically about all I run on startup, as well as my little icon dock here for, this is by the way called Nexus. If you want to check this out, I know this is somewhat similar to OS X, something comparable. Can have auto hide, so on and so forth, preferences. This is just the free version. Quite happy with it. It's called WinStep. All you got to do is Google WinStep, one word, WINSTEP, WinStep Nexus, NEXUS, WinStep Nexus. Google that and you'll find the free version of this. I think it's great. So I got at hand, ready to go, all my favorites, which is VirtualBox. Okay, Perfect Disk, System Ninja, great for fast disk cleanup, getting rid of useless and redundant files. It's really awesome. Okay, and then there's Pale Moon, which is basically Firefox. It's just based on an older core of Firefox. Boot Speed, a nice little utility I like to run. It's also part of my maintenance. Good old uTorrent, you know, for downloading all those Linux distros. Of course, what else would you use uTorrent for? Your uninstaller. I love this as a great replacement to Windows built-in uninstall utility. It's much better at locating all the files left over after you remove a program and deleting those. Notepad, of course, screen capture utility. And then your basics, CPU meter, RAM meter. There's my current temperature forecast here in Kelowna, BC, and the time, of course, nice little clock. And that's about it, really. So that's my entire operating system, over 30 gigabytes of files backed up to an archive. So yeah, you're talking just over 30 gig of actual files backed up, and that is backed up to my, which drive again? X, yeah, right there, OS image. And we go into the desktop folder, and this is the one I just created now, just moments ago, which took a total of about 8 minutes or so. And by the same token, again, should something go horribly wrong, should this hard drive die right now as I speak, heaven forbid, all I'd have to do is slap a new one in there, boot that same ACRONIS disk, image backup disk, select this file, which is, it's 19.7 gig, so just under 20 gig. Okay. I don't use a lot of compression. I could use more compression during the process, but that would just take longer, and I have the disk space to that I don't really need to do that. So yeah, 19.7 gig, under 20 gig to restore over 30 gig of data. Not bad. Not bad at all, and this has saved me quite a few times. As I said, I try to keep a regular backup, have something current, ready to go at a moment's notice, and like I said, so I have pretty fearless with my operations, installing programs, what have you. If I get a blue screen, BSOD, blue screen of death, and if I don't know what it is immediately, I don't spend a lot of time troubleshooting anymore. I don't spend a lot of time pulling out my hair and trying to figure out what's corrupted or what have you. I just load up the ACRONIS disk, select the backup, walk away for about 8 minutes or so, come back and it's restored. No more problems. So there you have it. That's my routine, my procedure for keeping my computer secure. And so yeah, I learned a long time ago, basically when I lost a lot of very important files. Let's just say it had to do with the computer we were using, and my wife uses that to connect to work, and I lost a lot of files, and the operating system was hosed, and she was not too happy. And I learned at that time, I think I was still on Windows 98 at that time, and I made up my mind at that point. It wasn't about keeping it from happening. It was more a fact of how to recover fast and efficiently from it when it does happen, and that's the mindset you have to have. I've heard so many times and so often people losing their precious documents, pictures. I don't care about movies and games and even apps, what have you. But the bottom line is you need to be able to get your operating system back up running, as you have it tweaked and the way you like it set up. And the sooner I can restore that and have things back up and running as it was, the happier I am. And games and files like that can be replaced, but when it comes to important stuff like your documents and precious pictures and things like that, maybe some home movies that you've converted, those are things you can't replace. So you better have some backup procedures in mind. I've heard so many people who have lost those type of things permanently, and really it's their own fault, because everyone knows, you all know, your hard drive is going to die. That's a fact. Like, there's no question about it. There's no hoping it won't, or just putting off backups, for not worrying about it until disaster strikes, and then you're screwed. So if you lose your information, if you lose your files, if you lose your important documents and pictures and home movies and whatever have you, any valuable file that's on your computer, if you lose it, it's your own fault. That's all there is to it. So, learn backup procedures, figure out what works best for you, and do them, most importantly. Okay? So that was my little backup routine for the operating system. As far as my external hard drive and my second partition where I keep all those precious files, I have them all backed up. Basically every one of my files has a second and third backup. So there you have it.